the Prime Minister, before he became Prime Minister, and before we won the election in January, had given me the green light to come up with a plan B. And I assembled a very able team, a small team as it had to be, because that had to be kept completely under wraps for obvious reasons. And we've been working since the end of December, beginning of January on creating one. But let me give you, if you are interested, some of the political and institutional impediments that made it hard for us to complete the work and indeed to activate it. The work was more or less complete. We did have a plan B, but the difficulty was to go from the 5 people who were planning it to the 1,000 people that would have to implement it. For that, I had to receive another authorization, which never came. But let me give you an example. We were planning along a number of fronts. I'll just mention one. Take the case of the first few moments when the banks are shut, the ATMs don't functioning, and there has to be some parallel payment system by which to keep the economy going for a little while, to give the population the feel that the state is in control and that there is a plan. What we planned to do was the following. There is the website of the tax office, like there is in Britain and everywhere else, where citizens, taxpayers, go into the website, they use their tax file number, and they transfer through web banking monies from the bank account to their tax file number so as to make payments on VAT, on income tax, and so on and so forth. We were planning to create, surreptitiously, reserve accounts attached to every tax file number without telling anyone, just to have this system function under wraps, and at the touch of a button to allow us to give PIN numbers to tax file number holders, taxpayers. So when, let's say, take for instance the case where the state owed €1 million to some pharmaceutical company for drugs purchased on behalf of the National Health Service. We could immediately create a digital transfer into that reserve account of the tax file number of the pharmaceutical company and provide them with a PIN number so that they could use this as a kind of parallel payment mechanism by which to transfer whichever part of those digital monies they wanted to any tax file number to whom they owed money, or indeed to use it in order to make tax payments to the state. That would have created a parallel banking system while the banks were shut as a result of the ECB's aggressive action to give us some breathing space. This was very well developed, and I think it would have made a very big difference because very soon we could have extended it using apps on smartphones, and it would become a functional parallel system. And then, of course, this could be euro-denominated, but at the drop of a hat, it could be converted to a new drachma. Now, let me tell you, and I think this is quite a fascinating story, what difficulties I faced. The General Secretariat of Public Revenues within my ministry is controlled fully and directly by the Troika. It was not under the control of my ministry, of me as minister. It was controlled by Brussels. The General Secretary is appointed effectively through a process that is Troika controlled, and the whole mechanism within. It's like inland revenue in the United Kingdom being controlled by Brussels. I am sure that as you are hearing these words, your hair is standing up. Okay, so problem number one. The General Secretariat of Information Systems, on the other hand, was controlled by me as minister. And I appointed a good friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine, who had become a professor of IT at Columbia University in the States and so on. I put him there because I trusted him to develop the system. At some point, a week or so after we moved into the ministry, he calls me up and says to me, you know what, I control the machines. I control the hardware. I do not control the software. The software belongs to the Troika-controlled General Secretariat for Public Revenues. What do we do? And so we had a meeting, just the two of us, nobody else knew. And he said, listen, if I ask for permission from them to start implementing this program, then the Troika will immediately know that we are designing a parallel system. Well, I said, that won't do. We don't want to reveal our hand at this stage. So I authorized him, and you can't tell anyone that. This is totally between us, to hack.
Certainly others listening, yes, but they will not tell it to their friends.
I know they are. And even if they do, I will refuse. I'll deny I said it. So we decided to hack into my minister's own software program in order to be able to bring it all to just copy the code of the tax system's website onto a large computer in his office, so that he can work out how to design and implement this parallel payment system. And we were ready to get a green line from the Prime Minister when the banks closed, in order to move into the General Secretariat of Public Revenues, which is not controlled by us, but it's controlled by Brussels, and to plug this laptop in and to energize the system. But I'm trying to convey to you the kind of institutional problems that we had, institutional impediments to carrying out an independent policy for ameliorating the effects of having our banks being closed down by the ECB.